I'm happy to join you today at this conference and hope that our time together will be fruitful for you. I am hoping that the words and ideas I share with you will help not only you to improve your life, but all of us to make this world a better place for everyone to live. We do live in troubling time. It is a time of travail. The world is agitated. It's been shaken by so many different forces, including the pandemic and also the awareness of the racism and the injustices that exist in the world. I would like to talk today and focus our attention on that topic so that we can see how we might make this world a better place for all of us. A few months ago, I was asked to speak at an international conference on the greatest challenges facing global sustainability. While other speakers spoke about things such as global warming, pollution, population, and things in this order, I chose to focus on prejudice as the most challenging issue facing humanity at this stage in its human development. I feel that the failure for humanity to embrace and address this problem is going to continue to haunt us until we find solutions to it. And I believe all the solutions to our problems, social and material included, can be found by, first of all, addressing the prejudices we have. And I want to focus on what is prejudice, what causes prejudice, where does it originate, and how can we eliminate it. First of all, there seems to be in humanity a general sense of egocentrism, which also, as it develops, becomes ethnocentrism. In other words, we imagine that we are the center of the universe, that we are the most important, we are somehow special and superior, not only as individuals, but as groups. And therefore, we often try to distinguish ourselves from others to make ourselves appear better, stronger, smarter, and deserving of more rights and opportunities than other people. As a result, we tend to put other people into categories that are often false, not based on any scientific or legitimate reason, and to consider those people as them, as opposed to us, as less them than us, and as not deserving of love or justice. This is a kind of an animal trait that we have carried over from our heritage of having an animal body, in that we come from a background where survival of the fittest, or the struggle for existence, was a key element of life. And we seem to often regress to that, even though as human beings, we've been given higher capacities, the capacity to think, the capacity to feel, and the capacity to choose what actions, how to behave, and not to be dictated by our animal or lower desires and passions. As a result, we tend to use those to great destruction in our seeking of preference for myself, our individual self, or for our group. We have laid the world to waste, and it has become a fractious, contentious, estranged world that we see today. And until we can recognize our prejudices and overcome this inherent but mostly subconscious sense of superiority we have towards other people, we will continue to suffer, and our nations and world will not progress. It has been a world characterized, as much as we can see in human history, by war, bloodshed, strife, and different kinds of conflict. These are witnessed in looking at human history, and they're even witnessed today. There's a decrease in those, but in some ways, with our added intelligence and our added scientific technological advances, we continue to cling to these outworn patterns of racism, sexism, classism, nationalism, and religious prejudice. And when I spoke at that conference, I focused on those 6 prejudices because I feel they are the most destructive, and they are the ones that have been with humanity for a long time, and we have all the tools available for us now to eliminate them and to become a better people, to become a new world, to become a new race of human beings, to recognize our oneness and singleness as a human race, as one human species, that have common characteristics, that have all of the genetic material that make us one. Yet we continue to divide one another and think erroneously that we will get some advantage by exploiting other people, by demeaning other people, by trying to prefer ourselves and to compete against other people rather than to cooperate. Many of the historians, sociologists, and such are re-looking at human history, and they see that human beings have advanced to the extent that they have cooperated, the extent that they have found unity. And I think you will find that even in your own family unit, within your own community, within your own nation or group, that to the extent that you can find unity, that you have an attraction or affection towards people of your kind, you prosper and you grow and develop. And now people have imagined that we have to have our kind against the other kind. However, they define that, and they define it in different ways in different cultures. In the United States, where I live, that has been defined along racial lines. Initially, it was the white European settlers who were immigrants to this country, overwhelming, looking down upon, and basically killing off many of the native peoples who lived in this continent before the Europeans arrived. They saw those people as savages, as inferior, as something that they had to take control of. And they did that. Later on, and I fortunately have had the opportunity to live on Indian reservations, teach school there, and to see how when a people are deprived of their rights, of their dignity, of their opportunities, how it can destroy a community, how it can negatively affect them. And we have done the same thing with the people we have enslaved, and those people continue to this day to suffer from racism. Racism is one of the most long-standing and baneful prejudices that have existed in our world. It may be of a different skin color, it may be of different ethnicities, but in any case, this kind of separation is reverting to a very primitive kind of tribalism, which we see reemerging, and we see as people strive to obtain more rights, how people who have the privileges, who have the power, who want to maintain that, are pushing back and trying to hold these people down. This has been seen recently in the United States with the police brutality, and recently there's been an international uprising to try to bring about more justice, more equity, more freedom for all peoples. You will find that America, that racism is its most challenging issue, but it is a problem that affects and infects every country in the world. And it debilitates those countries in ways that the people who are in privilege don't see. But if they could see, they would recognize that the interest of the one is best served by the interest of all. And many of the religious scriptures support this idea of love. Ironically, many of the religions have been the cause of the hate and suffering that we see, and even the wars that we've seen. Religions around the world, if you study their scriptures, are all foundationally based upon love. And that love is directed towards a higher being. It's directed towards your fellow creatures. It's directed towards the creation of the Creator. Yet we have violated all of those principles and knowingly continue to violate them. And as a result, many thinking people, many people who are very socially conscious, have turned away from religion because they have found religion being corrupt and being used for selfish, racist, sexist, classist, nationalistic purposes, which is not the intent of these religions. And so when they see this corruption, that people in the name of God are hating one another, are twisting the truth, are refusing to, say, acknowledge scientific truths, and yet refusing to provide the opportunity and equity to all peoples, they are rightfully repulsed by religion. But I feel that if we can get back to the core of those religions, we can find, because I think we need this moral guidance, and that if we look at the universal human values found in each of those religions, we will find that this will be a tremendous solace. It will be a way of helping humanity heal. Another prejudice that I want to address, because it is widespread around the world, and it also subjugates half of the population of the world, and that is sexism. And we, again, if you look at all of these prejudices, they have no foundation scientifically. Obviously, you will see among the genders some difference in terms of male and female features, but none of those features depict a hierarchy in terms of one should be superior to the other. I think historically, males have dominated because of their aggressive and nature and their strength. But I think today, some of the features of women are much more needed and more valued in our society than physical strength and aggressiveness, such as intelligence, intuition, caring, and other moral qualities. We continue, though, to discriminate against women worldwide, and this is limiting the advancement of civilization. It is limiting the welfare of even those men who think they continue to hold power and privilege. Until women are given equal rights, I don't think we can expect to have peace and unity in the planet. And this is, again, a long process. And I will, after I address these other two racisms, two prejudices, I will talk about how we do address them. The third one is classism. And I think many people who are attending this international conference are from India, and having lived in India and knowing a bit of that culture, Classism is probably to India what racism is to the United States. It is a very challenging issue. Both countries are trying to address it, but in many ways they're addressing it in a piecemeal manner. And I will show us how we can look at that in a more holistic manner and address it. But classism, again, oppresses people on a basis that does not have any legitimacy in science or religion. Finally, there isn't one prejudice that is threatening today, and that is national and political prejudices. We need to begin seeing humanity as one family, the world as one country, of which we're all citizens. And this pandemic has brought some awareness to that we are all interconnected. One person in a remote country can become ill, and that can infect the whole world. If we do not take care of and treat all humanity as one family, we will continue to suffer these kinds of problems into the future. We are all interconnected, as this pandemic is showing. And if we don't recognize that connection, not only physically, but more so socially, morally, spiritually, we need to recognize that we are one human species. There is one human race, and we are part of that. And the way we're going to address these prejudices is by the three qualities that distinguish us from animals: our ability to think, our ability to feel, and our ability to choose our actions, not be governed by our instincts and desires, to be able to use our thinking and feeling to make conscious choices for the betterment of all. Our thinking leads us to know, and so our knowing capacity has been perverted in prejudice. We think we know that we are superior because of the color of our skin, the gender we have, the nationality, our class, our religion. These are all falsehoods. We do not know the truth. We're not also willing to investigate that truth openly and honestly. There is science, there is plenty of information that can show that humanity is one undivided species and needs to and will benefit by behaving as one. We can see how these increasing levels of unity have benefited humanity throughout history, and especially have benefited in this age. We need to not allow the selfish powers and the self-centeredness and egotism to take those benefits and to make them serve selfish ends and egocentric causes. So the second thing is our feelings, and in fact, I think our feelings are something stronger that we often don't address as much. We have to recognize that we have these unconscious feelings that will sometimes make us feel better or superior, or that we should be preferred, or we're somehow distinct from other people. And these feelings cause us to love ourselves or love our group more than we love others. And we justify that intellectually by saying those people are less than we are because of the color of their skin, their gender, their class, nationality, religion, etc. I'm choosing only what I think are the most harmful prejudices that exist today. There are many others. But because we do not, we think our feelings are a true guide, we don't investigate them. We don't take the time to look at our feelings and to say, on what basis am I making myself to be better than other people? The third area is in terms of our actions, our behavior, which we have as human beings the ability to make choices. We have the opportunity to do right or wrong, to do good or evil. We get to choose. Now, our choices are limited by what we think and feel, and that's why it's very important that we adjust our thinking and feeling so that our thinking is guided by truth, our feeling is guided by love, and our actions are guided by justice. And that's the key ingredient, the key formula, the key remedy to the problems we have today. In some ways it's very easy, in other ways it's very hard. It is hard to change the way we think, how we feel, and how we act. But until we take responsibility for our own thoughts, feelings, and actions, and then try to help others take responsibility for theirs, we will not see any real or significant change in our personal lives, in our family lives, in our communities, in our businesses and work organizations, in our nations, and in our world. This change has to happen on several levels. It has to happen individually. We need to then affect with our individual new awarenesses and feelings and actions to have a positive influence on our communities, which should also then have a positive influence on the institutions we're part of. And all of that then begins this process, this virtuous process, this cycle of growth, because the more we begin to know, the more we realize how little we do know. The more we recognize our feelings are often dictated by what we were taught, prejudices we were given, or selfish feelings that we haven't acknowledged, the more we're able then to rise above them and to free ourselves from being slaves to or captive of these emotions that really bind us and don't allow us to be free. And finally, if our actions have to be guided and directed towards justice. And so every decision you make in your life, as you begin to interrogate your own prejudices, ask yourself, is what I think true? And is what I'm saying true? Ask yourself, am I loving? And is my actions going to be unifying to other people? And do my actions bring about greater justice? Am I being just? Am I being fair to other people? This ethic is found in all the world religions as well, and it's often referred to as the golden rule, to do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. So I'm hoping that you will have a chance to reflect on these. I hope you can take some time to, next time you are in a problem, and next time you see a social problem, whether it's personal or it's a part of your community or culture, ask yourself, is it based on what is the truth related to that problem? And is love one of the motivations? And are pure motives part of it? Are people using selfish motives? And I think you'll be able to analyze and find a solution to every problem that you face, whether it be personal or collective. And if you would like to further consult with me or learn a little bit more about this, I invite you to Google my name, Rod Clarken, and go to my website. There you can look at a lot of material I've developed on this topic. And you can also call me or contact me through that site. I have really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to talk to you, and wish you all very well and bid you namaste. Thank you so much.